So student, today we are going to discuss about the morphology of flowering plant part 2. Right, earlier we have discussed the morphology of flowering plant which you have already gone through. Today we are going to explain the main part of the flowering plant, that is flower. Right. Now when we discuss about the flower, the main first thing is the flower is the reproductive unit of the angiosperm. Angiosperms are those plants which has the flower, and it is only meant for the sexual reproduction and to attract the insects. A typical flower has four different kinds of whorls arranged successively on the swollen end of the stalk or pedicel with which the flower is attached, and it is called the thalamus. These are calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are accessory organs, while androecium and gynoecium are reproductive organs. A flower contains both androecium and gynoecium is called bisexual flower. A flower having either only androecium or only gynoecium is called unisexual. If we look symmetrically to the flower, then we find that the flowers is symmetrically divided into three different categories. First one on the slide before you, it is actinomorphic. Means what? It is radially symmetrical. If we divide it, then it will be divided into two equal radial halves in any radial plane. That's why it is called actinomorphic or radial symmetrical. Examples are mustard, datura plant, datura flower and chili flower. Second one is zygomorphic. Zygomorphic means bilateral symmetry. It can be, the flower can be divided into two similar halves only in one particular vertical plane, not in any radial plane, but in particular vertical plane. If we divide it, then it will divide into two similar halves. Example of these are the pea, then gulmohar, then bean and cassia. Third one and the last one is asymmetry. Asymmetrical means irregular. That means that the flower cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane or radial plane, whatever it is, but it cannot be divided into equal two halves. And the example is canna. Now, on the basis of the position of calyx, corolla, and androecium or gynoecium with respect of the ovary or thalamus, the flowers are described as following: hypogynous, perigynous, and epigynous. Hypogynous flowers are those flowers in which the gynoecium occupies the highest position, while the other parts are situated below the ovary. Examples are mustard, China rose and brinjal. Second one is perigynous. Perigynous flowers are those flowers in which the gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus, almost at the same level, no doubt. Examples are plum, rose, then peach. And the third one is epigynous flowers. These flowers are those flowers in which the margin of thalamus grows upward, enclosing the ovary completely. That means it covers the entire ovary, right, internally, and getting fused with it. The other parts of the flower arise above the ovary. The diagrams are given below. You can refer the diagram. Thank you. Now we discuss about the different parts of the flower. The first one we discuss, that is calyx. What is the calyx? Calyx is found, it is the outermost wall of the flower and the members are called sepals. As you can see the figure which is given on right side, the calyx are shown, right? So these sepals are of green color, leaf-like and protect the flower in the bud stage. The calyx may be gamosepalous, that means the sepals are united with each other, they are called gamosepalous, or the polysepalous in which the sepals are free, means sepals are separated as it is given in the rose flower which is shown in your right side. Then the second part is corolla. Corolla is composed of petals, right? It is also petals, and the petals are usually bright in color. And why it is bright in color? Different colors of flowers you might have seen. Wherever you go, you will see the different colors of flowers. These colors are to attract the insect for the pollination purpose. Pollination is the process of the reproduction. Then corolla is also gamopetalous, that means the petals are united with each other, that means they are jointed, or polypetalous means the petals are free. Corolla is tubular. Right? Corolla, it can be tubular, it can be bell shaped, it can be funnel shaped or wheel shaped, different shapes you will find. Then we discuss about the estivation. What is the estivation? Estivation is nothing else but the mode of arrangement of the sepals or the petals in the flora, in the flower. Right? So mode of arrangement of the sepals is called the estivation. With respect to the members of the same wall is called estivation. The types, different type of estivations are as valvate, twisted, imbricate, and vexillary. The diagrams are given, diagrams are shown where the orange one, you can see the orange one is velvet type, the yellowish greenish one is twisted, the bluish one which you see it is imbricate, and the vexillary type, last one is vexillary type, and this one another, that is indigo color, right? It is cunicular, right? Okay, students, we move towards the description of the different reproductive organs, reproductive parts of the flower. First comes the male reproductive part, that is called androecium. Androecium is male reproductive part of the flower. It is composed of stamens. Each stamen, which represent the male reproductive organ, consists of a stalk or a filament and an anther. The pollen grains are produced in a pollen sac. Pollen sac means a bag-like structure is present in the flower in which the pollen grains are produced. A sterile stamen is called staminode. Sterile stamen means what? Which cannot reproduce, that is called sterile stamen. It has no capacity to reproduce. The stamens may be united into one bunch or one bundle, which is called monoadelphous, as in China rose flower. It can be in two bundles also, that is called diadelphous, as we find in the pea, or into more than two bundles, which is called polyadelphous flower, as in the citrus. The mode of attachment of a filament to anther by connective is called fixation. So fixation is what? Fixation is the mode of attachment of a filament attached to the another by connectivity. It is following types. First, adenate. Adenate type of fixation, wherein the filament attached to the total length of the anther on the back. Example, we have Michelia, Champa, which is called. Second one is basifixed. Basifixed filament is attached to the base of the another. Filament is attached to the base of the anther. Example, we have datura, mustard, and radish. Third one is dorsifix type of fixation, in which the filament is attached to the anther on the dorsal side at the middle portion. Example, in passiflora. Fourth one, that is versatile. Versatile fixation is the fixation in which the filament is attached to the anther at a point so that the anther can swing freely in all directions. The diagrams of all these four types of the fixation are given below. You can see basifix, adenate, dorsifix, and versatile. Move towards the female reproductive part of the flower, that is called gynoecium. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower, and it is made up of one or more carpels. A carpel consists of three parts. The carpel consists of three parts, namely stigma, style, and ovary. The diagram on the right side is very distinct. You can see the green one, the parts of the flower, style, stigma, and ovary. After the fertilization, the ovules develop into the seeds and the ovary matures into the fruit. Whatever the fruit we eat, it is nothing, it is the matured ovary of the flower which we say fruit. The gynoecium can be described as monocarpellary, bicarpellary, tricarpellary, tetracarpellary, pentacarpellary, and multicarpellary. As the name itself is very much descriptive, mono means one. Monocarpellary is the gynoecium in which it has a ovary with a single carpel. Example being bicarpellary. Bi means two, so it consists two carpels in a ovary. Example Helianthus. The diagram at the below is given for your refer. Tricarpellary means tri means three, so it consists three carpels. Example in cocos, right? That is coconut what we eat, and then tetracarpellary, it consists four carpels which is found in cotton. Then pentacarpellary, it consists five carpels which is present in hibiscus flower. And multicarpellary, it consists more than five carpels. Many carpels are present as we found in annona. Topic before us, that is placentation. What is the placentation? Placentation is the arrangement of the ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. There are ovules present in the ovary, and that these ovules are arranged in different manners, that is known as the placentation. The placentation are of different types, namely marginal placentation, axial placentation, parietal placentation, basal placentation, central placentation, and the free central placentation. Marginal placentation is that in which the placenta forms a ridge and the ovules are borne on the ridge, forming two rows, as we find in the pea. If you take a pea, right, and then if you just open the pea, then you will find that the seeds are arranged. These seeds are called ovules, right? The pea, right? So pea, they are arranged on a ridge. That is called marginal placentation. Axial placentation is that in which the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary, as in China rose we find, or tomato and lemon. You are very much familiar with the tomato and lemon. If you cut the tomato and cut it in the slice, then you will find that the structure is the ovules are attached to in a multilocular type, that is called axial placentation. Then parietal placentation, the ovules develop on the inner wall of the ovary or on the peripheral part, as we find in mustard and argemone. Another one, that is free central placentation, in which the ovules are borne on central axis and septa are present in between them. Septa means a type of wall, very thin wall, that is called septa, as in dianthus and primrose. Basal placentation is the placentation which develops at the base of ovary and a single ovule is attached to it, as we find in sunflower and marigold. Move for the fruit. What is the fruit? As I had already said in the earlier demonstration, earlier slide, the fruit is nothing else but it is the mature ovary. So how it is? So a mature ripened ovary is called the fruit. It is developed after the fertilization. The fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovary. If the fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovary, then that fruit is called parenthenocarpic, parthenocarpic fruit. The fruit consists of a wall or pericarp. Pericarp is the outer wall of the fruit, and inside the seeds are present. The pericarp may be dry or fleshy. When the pericarp is thick and fleshy, it is differentiated into outer epicarp, the middle mesocarp, and the inner endocarp. Here we are displaying four types of fruits. The first one is mango, the second one is apple, then tomato and coconut. In the mango, if you cut the mango section, then you will find that the epicarp is the outer wall, as we said pericarp, that is the epicarp, then mesocarp which we eat, right? Epicarp, what we do, we cut it and throw it away, and we eat the mesocarp, and then the inner side has endocarp, which we call guthali, right? So these three is the part of the pericarp, and inside that endocarp consists embryo, then endosperm and seed coat, right? This part is called seed. In the apple, the outer layer, you might have seen the outer layer, it is epicarp, right? Then the mesocarp we eat, and the seeds are found in the endocarp, right? This embryo and the stalk is present, which we remove. This part, endocarp, along with the seeds, we remove while we eat the fruit. In the tomato is fleshy one, right? So the pericarp consists exocarp, mesocarp, and endocarp. These all three is a part of pericarp, right? All the three. And then the inner part, the innermost one is placenta, then funiculus, and then the seeds, right? Tomato wheat as such, we do not remove the pericarp, right? Then comes the coconut. All are very much familiar with all these fruits, so I need not to explain too much, but this is what biologically explanation is required. That's why we are explaining over here, right? If we cut the coconut, right, then you will find that the endocarp which we eat, which is called copra, right, this part we eat. The outer part is very hard, and it consists exocarp and mesocarp, right? Exocarp and mesocarp, these are very hard. We remove and we eat the inner one, endocarp, and which contains the cocoa water, which is very much famous, right? People used to drink the coconut water. It contains the water. When we eat, it is very healthy. Comes the seed. What are the seeds? Seeds are very important part. Without seeds, majority of the plant does not grow. Few of the plants grow without the seeds, like sugar cane, etc. But majority of the plant which we see around us, they are grown only due to the seeds. The seeds are sown in the soil, and then they are taken care. They are being watered. That's why the plants grow. Now the seed. What are the seeds? The ovaries which do not ripe into the fruit, those ovary develops the seed. So we can say the ovules after the fertilization, which does not turn into fruit, they develop into seeds. A seed is made up of a seed coat, that is the outermost covering of the seed, and an embryo. The embryo is made up of a radicle. A radicle is there, and an embryonal axis, and it contains cotyledon. Now, on the basis of the number of the cotyledon, the seeds are divided into monocotyledon and dicotyledon. Monocotyledon, as the name itself is descriptive. Mono, always remember that mono means one, di means two, tri means three, right? Tetra means four, and penta means four, etc. So remember these words, as you will come across with these words very oftenly in biology. So now, monocotyledon seeds are those seeds which do not break up into equal halves. Equal halves means what? That you will understand when I explain dicotyledon. But here monocotyledon seeds are those seeds which are not able to be divided into two equal halves, like wheat and maize. All of us are very familiar with the maize because we eat maize whenever we go outside. Bhutta जिसको हम बोलते हैं, alright. So we eat maize. So if you take a maize out seed, from the corn, then you will find that it is single as it is shown in the figure. The figure is somewhat like this. So it has only one cotyledon. It does not have two cotyledons. That's why it is called monocotyledon. The internal structure of the monocotyledon seed is given to you, which has the outer wall, which is called seed coat, then a layer which is called alluron layer, right? And then the endosperm, which we eat it as such in the maize and wheat also, right? So, and after that the cross section shows you the scutellum, the coleptile, the plumule, the radicle, and the coloriza. The plumule is the part by which the stem grows up. When it is sown in the soil, then the plant comes out. So the plumule is the part which gives rise to the stem, and the radicle is the part which gives rise to the roots which goes under the soil. Now we come to the dicotyledon. Dicotyledon type of seed. It is the seed which we can have two equal halves, right? If we divide it, if we just break it, then it will break into two equal halves. The example is gram and pea. We all are familiar with the gram, that is chana. If and the gram dal which we eat, then it has also tuar dal, then moong dal we have from moong, right? Many pulses are there. So gram and peas, here we take the two example. The structure is shown on the right side below. The structure of dicotyledon seed. Here, as a whole seed, it contains a micropyle, helium, and seed coat. Micropyle, it contains the plumule and radicle, right? And you see, it is divided into two equal halves, and which are called cotyledon. Two cotyledons are present, wherein monocotyledon only one cotyledon was there. Here dicotyledon, two cotyledons we have. The plumule part give rise to the stem, and the radical part give rise to the root. Very important topic we are having. This topic is the floral formula, or we can say the semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. Means what? Every flower, if you see any flower, it has got a certain peculiar type of arrangement of the petals, right? All the petals in the corolla, all the sepals in the calyx, every corolla, and the position of the androecium, position of the gynoecium, and position of uh, another parts. All the parts of the flower are arranged in a very peculiar manner. Every flower has got its own peculiar design. That is called the arrangement of the flora. Why it is so? Because if you see the rose flower, if you see the hibiscus flower, if you see another flower, right, then cactus flower, every flower has got its own peculiar type of arrangement. These arrangements are known as semi-technical arrangement, and these are described, these are displayed in a proper way. Every flower has got its own type of arrangement, and these arrangements are shown for the study purpose, and this is shown in a floral formula. So this is the floral formula is an expression summarizing the information given in a floral diagram. It represents the information given in a floral diagram in the form of an equation. If we see the diagram is given below, right side below, wherein you see BR, then percentage, then another sign, then K, then C, then A, then G. What does all these express? They express different parts of the flower. So we are now discussing all these symbols. So they are symbolically described. If by just looking at this floral formula, we can have the picture of the flower in our mind very clearly, that how all these parts are arranged in a flower. First one, BR stands for the bracteate. If a flower is surrounded by the bracket, right, then it is denoted as BR. Then K stands for the calyx part, which we had already discussed. C stands for corolla. P stands for the perianth. Then A represent for the androecium, how the androecium is there, how many androeciums are there. Then G stands for the gynoecium. G, uh, the line which shows that G is superior, like the line is drawn below the G, that is called, it contains the superior ovary, and if the line is drawn above the G, then it is said that it contains the inferior ovary. Then another sign for the male and the female, which is just before you. And if a flower is bisexual, that means if a flower contains androecium and gynoecium both in one flower, then it is called bisexual plant. So it is represented as this symbol, right? And for the actinomorphic, that means it does not contain any reproductive things. Another, the percentage shows for the zygomorphic nature of the flower. The fusion is indicated by enclosing the figure within the bracket and adjacent by a line drawn above the symbol of the flower parts. Here, many things, all the abbreviation, that is called symbols, are displayed on the screen, which you can very well see, and then the sketches of the floral diagram, and then the descriptive formula.